What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are having a beautiful Tuesday afternoon here today. The weather is so good here in West Lafayette. I hope that's the case for most other places here. I know that there's been something going on with tornadoes in Tennessee recently, and definitely hearts out to them. I'm just getting on here to kind of talk a little bit about how I believe our generation is the best. And I don't mean that in any sort of like bad way to the millennials, the Gen Z, those that are my age don't necessarily fall into either of those brackets. There's hustlers out there. There's a lot of crazy hustlers out there, obviously way more than me, way more than a lot of us. When I say best, I mean in terms of the mindset, because that's what this whole game is all about. It's the mindset that we've kind of just been taught from birth. If you're around like your early 20s or finishing up your teen years here, here in college, you're starting out college, things like that. We are possibly the best generation when it comes to just being able to withstand hardship and to be able to balance. You hear all these adults and all these financial gurus and all these books and everything, all these videos talk about balance, but the fact of the matter is that no one understands that more at the core than us, especially if you're at this age and you're hustling. And when I say hustling, I don't mean you have a business. I mean you're just living life. Life is like, I swear, the hardest it's ever been for us. Especially if you're in college, this is extremely pertinent in the fact that you look at how many loans we have, you look at the crazy amount of expectations professors have for us, and then many of us, I would say a mass majority of us, have part-time job, or maybe even more than one part-time job. I've met quite a few people that have that. Do other things on the side, are in some sort of sport, clubs, organizations. And along with that, if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to start your side hustle, of course you got that. And then you got to keep up your social expectations. So this is, again, not counting the people that just do the bare minimum and then go drink all day. I'm counting the people that, hey, they could still drink all day, but they do all these other things too. And that's why I think that our generation is honestly the best at multitasking and the best at just balancing the hardships that we face in life. Many of us grew up in poor, less than middle class households. Many of us grew up with so much financial hardship, sometimes even family hardship. I noticed this to be a lot more prominent with us, which shows that there's a definite problem with the generation prior to us. But the key here is that if you're young now, you're learning skills that are incredibly, incredibly valuable to the marketplace. No matter what industry you're trying to enter, these skills are going to set you up for success. Don't feel bad if you're not doing as well as you thought you should be doing at your job, at your classes, with certain relationships with others. If there's an area of your life that isn't necessarily going well, don't feel bad, because you're learning so much just by living day to day. In our generation, we at our age have to deal with so much that our parents or grandparents have admitted that they've never had to deal with, because there's just so much on our plates. There's so much expectations. There's so much riding on our generation. And we're just kind of, for lack of better words, cleaning up the messes of prior ones, and this is not to discount the hard work that previous generations have. It's just that there's a lot thrown at us in our day-to-day that, the people prior to us didn't have to deal with. Things like email, that's just one of them, because they never had that. So there's just that always on aspect, that always kind of having a spotlight on you aspect that I think is important to acknowledge. And that's why I wanted to make this, because this is something I've been thinking about throughout this morning. There's just been quite a few things I've had to get done this morning. And I sat down right now and ate my lunch, and I'm like, hey, I think this would be a really great topic to talk about, because I think this is something that a lot of people don't talk about. I think that we're so willing to start looking at, oh man, I have so much to do, and we look at it as a bad thing. But it may be, and yeah, it stresses me out, it stresses all of us out, but it's setting us up for so much success later down the road, because you're learning how to balance such a huge lifestyle instead of just being like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I'm done for the day. You're learning how to always be on, how to always be productive, and no matter what area of that life is. When you go out, you're still being productive. You're keeping up social relationships. And that's pretty much my 2 cents for the day. I hope everybody's doing really well. And once again, if you're around our age, if you're in your early 20s, late teens, this is really prime time for you to learn everything you can, take on a lot of stuff on your plate, or don't, because even the small things, even your basic requirements in school or at work, are still crazier than stuff that the generations prior to us had to deal with. So we just, once again, we're setting ourselves up for success just by living life. And I think this is going to be incredibly valuable. no matter what you decide to do with your future, whether that's to find the right job or just to start your side hustle, to start a full-time business or anything. So with that being said, thank you all so much for your time. I hope this brought a little bit of value. I really like this new little tripod thing I'm doing because I think it's just helping me get my points across a little bit more without having to worry about holding the phone. But I won't dilly-dally anymore. Just thank you guys so much for your time, and I wish you all a beautiful rest of the week.